More now on one of our top stories, the Bank of Canada holding its key interest rate steady. The bank's decision widely expected and followed a week of political pressure from different premiers criticizing the bank's string of rate hikes. So for more on that, I want to bring in Alison Redford. She, of course, former premier of Alberta, joins us now from Calgary. Welcome to the program. As always, great to have you on.
And you too. Nice to see you, Hannah.
Let's start first with the premiers, because you know very well about that role. 3 premiers vocal about the Bank of Canada ahead of the interest rate decision. I haven't seen this really before in the past. Is it appropriate?
Well, I think it is an exceptional set of actions. I also think it's an exceptional set of circumstances. I mean, this is the first time in, over 10 months that we haven't seen an interest rate hike. I know that there's different points of view with respect to fiscal policy, but people are hurting. People are having a lot of difficulty getting on with their day-to-day lives, and I think it's important for premiers to ensure that they are representing the people in their provinces and expressing that opinion to Canadians across the country, and to set the public policy. I mean, anyone who is an elected official does have a responsibility to at least try to participate in public policy. At the end of the day, the Bank of Canada is an institution that will make the decision based on what it thinks it should, and the governor will live with that. But I don't see anything wrong with premiers commenting on that, particularly in these exceptional times.
Yeah, it was widely expected, though, Ms. Redford, that the bank wouldn't hike interest rates this time around. So was this a case of the premiers trying to score some, I guess it would be easy political points?
Well, I don't think that just as I talked to people in the last couple of weeks anticipating this announcement today, there was probably some speculation that they wouldn't, but they could have increased them. They certainly have in the past 8 to 10 months. And I wouldn't say that there's any reason at all for someone who is elected and representing a province, thinking about their economy, to not participate in that debate.
Do you think, the Bank of Canada is independent? It does this without taking influence from the premiers, from political officials, federal officials, et cetera, et cetera. However, every time you kind of say something, it goes in the back of someone's head. Do you think that may have happened at all, or were they just like, nope, this is what we had planned on doing, this is how it rolls?
Well, I'm not privy to the discussions that the bank might have had with the federal government, with the Minister of Finance or the Prime Minister, but we have a lot of institutions in this country that are independent, but it doesn't mean that elected officials aren't allowed to comment on public policy. So I would expect that the premiers hoped that the fact that they were talking about this would at least send an indication that there were people that were concerned about this. I have not worked with this governor. I know that with governors that I've worked with before, I've certainly had a lot of confidence in their independence and their view on the fiscal policy, but I don't see any reason why that can't be part of a public conversation for sure.
Yeah, you didn't work alongside Tiff Macklem. You worked alongside other governors. Was there any
Mark
point...
Carney.
It was Mr. Carney. Okay, thank you for that, because I'm like, I can't think of the year there. So thank you kindly for saving me. Ms. Redford, was there any point that you would have tried to influence a decision?
Well, I think that there were times when we were going through 2008, when I was Justice Minister, and after 2011, where there were certainly issues with respect to international discussions around credit, the creation of the new G20 fiscal committee that Mark led, where we talked about the fact that Canada needed to do something different. And we were very vocal about that as a provincial government, and we were very supportive of the work that he was doing, but we didn't shy away from that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's good to know too. And it's not just provincial politicians who've been vocal on the Bank of Canada. We also heard NDP leader Jagmeet Singh today. Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative Party leader, has frequently tried to tie the Bank of Canada to the Trudeau government. Also going as far to say that he'd fire Tiff Macklem. Is there any line that should be drawn when it comes to critiques of the bank?
Well, I think that if there is a civilized conversation between different institutions and different elected officials, that everyone should be able to carry on and do their job and participate in the public policy. I mean, the governor of the Bank of Canada has a set of terms of reference that he has to comply with. And I would expect that if he didn't comply with those and didn't conduct himself as he should, according to those terms, or possibly one day as she would, then there would be a function and an operation that would allow for the government to remove that governor. I wouldn't suggest for a moment that we're there, but I don't think there's anything wrong with politicians talking about that, so that Canadians understand that there are people out there that they have elected that are going to participate in the public conversation and reflect their interests.
So, of course, affordability, high cost of living, it's what everybody is really talking about in this country. Is this just inherently a political issue in spite of the separation between the bank and the government?
Absolutely. And I think it's also an issue with respect to what you're hearing elected officials talking about with respect to other banks. Where are interest rates? What are people getting for the money they're investing? What are the returns on GICs? Service fees at banks, the rate of credit card debt, or the interest rate on credit card debt. These are all part of what affects the affordability for Canadians today. And I think that it's important for us to understand as Canadians, and I'm very glad to see elected officials talking about the fact that they appreciate that all of these issues are impacting every Canadian's ability to pay the rent, feed their family, and be able to have some optimism about the future.
Alison Redford, I'm going to have to end it there. Always a pleasure to have you on the program and get your insights. Appreciate it.